Lesson 77, solving two-step and multi-step inequalities. We've looked at one-step inequalities, which we did with addition and subtraction, and we also did with multiplication and division. And just remember, when you divide or multiply by a negative number, you'd have to flip the symbol. So here, let's do one where we're going to solve and graph the following. So 8m minus 12 is less than or equal to negative 36. To get 8m by itself, I'm going to add 12 to both sides. And I have 8m is less than or equal to a negative 24. To get m by itself, I divide by 8. And I get m is less than or equal to a negative 3. And then to graph it, number line, negative 3 here. I'm going to use a filled-in circle because it can equal negative 3. Less than means it goes to the left. Second question, solve and graph this one. So to get negative 3m by itself, I'm going to subtract 9 on both sides. And I have a negative 3m is greater than 12. To get m by itself, I divide by a negative 3. Because I'm dividing by a negative number, I flip the symbol, so now m is less than a negative 4. And graphing it, put a negative 4 here. Open circle on 4, less than means to the left. I can quickly check my answer. Pick a number less than negative 4. I'll just choose negative 5. 9 minus 3 times negative 5 has to be greater than 21. Negative 3 times negative 5 is positive 15. Positive 15 plus 9 is 24. 24 is greater than 21. So I know that my answer is correct. Next one, 5p plus 8 is greater than or equal to negative 32. Subtract 8 on both sides. I get 5p is greater than or equal to a negative 40. To get p by itself, I divide by 5. And I get p is greater than or equal to a negative 8. And then graphing it, need a filled-in circle on negative 8. Greater than means going to the right. Solve and graph the following here. Need to add 24 to both sides. And I get a negative 3x is less than 39. To get x by itself, I divide by negative 3 on both sides. And since I'm dividing by a negative, I flip the symbol. And I get x is greater than or greater than a negative 13. On number line, negative 13 here. I have an open circle, greater than means to the right. Second group of problems. Here we have more steps involved with it. So here we have negative 8 plus a negative 11 is less than negative 7d minus 12. So let's first combine on one side. So this would give us a negative 19 is less than negative 7d minus 12. Then I get all my integers to one side, so I need to add 12 to both sides. And now I have a negative 7 is less than negative 7d. To get d by itself, I divide by negative 7. And here I'm going to put my letter first. So d, I have to flip the symbol. D is not greater than. D has to be now less than a negative 1. Or if I, not negative 1, it'd be a positive 1. Or if I put it the way they have it written, it would be 1 is greater than d. Either way would work. Just remember, when you're dividing by a negative number, you have to flip the symbol. So graphing it, 1 here, open circle on 1 has to be less than 1, so going to the left. Next one, I need to distribute this negative 6 and square the negative 12. So I have negative 6 times 4, which would give us a negative 24. negative 6 times a negative 1x is a positive 6x, which is greater than or equal to, this would have to be a negative 144. Because the negative 12 is not in parentheses, it's really negative 1 times 12 squared. And that would give us a negative 144. Now I can get the 6x by itself by adding 24 to both sides. And now I'm left with 6x is greater than or equal to a negative 120. To get x by itself, divide by 6. And now I'm left with x is greater than or equal to a negative 20. Now my number line, I have negative 20 here. I have a filled in circle because it can equal negative 20. Greater than means going to the right. Next one. Here we have fractions involved with it. Remember, with the fractions, you need common denominators. There's also a way you don't have to have to get rid of the fractions. You can multiply by the least common multiple. So I'm going to do that to get rid of my fractions. The least common multiple of 4, 2, and 10 would be 20. So if I multiply every part by 20, I can get rid of my fractions. 20 divided by 4 is 5. 5 times 3y is 15y. 10 divided by 2 is 20 divided by 2 is 10. 10 times 1 is 10, so plus 10 is less than 20 divided by 10 is 2. 2 times 7 is 14. Now I can get 15y by itself by subtracting 10 on both sides. And I have 15y is less than 4. Then get y by itself, divide by 15. I end up with y is less than 4/15. And then graphing it, this would be 4/15. Open circle on 4/15. Less than means go to the left. So for that one, if you prefer keeping it as fractions, you just have to make sure that you have common denominators when you add and subtract. Next one, negative 5x plus 3 is greater than negative 9 minus 8. So let's combine like terms. So I have 5x plus 3 is greater than negative 17. To get negative 5x by itself, I subtract 3 on both sides. Negative 5x is greater than negative 20. To get x by itself, I divide by negative 5 on both sides. And I have x is now less than 4. Just remember to flip the symbol. We have an open circle on 4. Less than means going to the left. And some word problems. A student borrows $55 from his parents. They agreed to subtract $3 from the loan for each hour he works in the yard. To find the number of hours, x, he needs to work before he owes less than $30. Solve the inequality. So our first step is to be able to write the inequality. So he borrowed $55 from his parents. He has $55 that he has to pay back. They agreed to subtract $3 from the loan for each hour he works. So 3x, because the number of hours is x. To find the number of hours he needs to work before he owes less than 30. So it has to be less than $30. We want to find that out. So there's our inequality. To get negative 3x by itself, I'm going to subtract 55 on both sides. And I have a negative 3x is less than a negative 25. To get negative 3x by itself, I'm going to divide by negative 3. And I have x is now greater than 25/3. Or we can write that as 8 1/3. So we would say x has to be greater than 8 1/3 hours for him to have less than $30. And our last question. A student runs a quarter mile in 180 seconds. She improves her time by 5 seconds each week. Define the number of weeks, W, needed for her time to be at most 150 seconds. Solve the inequality. 180 minus 5t is less than or equal to 150. So I'm going to start off writing the inequality. And now I need to get the negative 5t by itself. So I'm going to subtract 180 on both sides. And I have a negative 5t is less than or equal to a negative 30. To get t by itself, I divide by negative 5. And I get t is now greater than or equal to 6. That is our lesson today on solving multi-step and two-step inequalities.